As the Trump administration struggles to reunite 3,000 separated migrant children with their families, a new report by the Center for Investigative Reporting reveals a disturbing location where some immigrant children have apparently been held. According to the report, a major U.S. defense contractor has detained dozens of immigrant children inside this vacant office building. A building with dark windows, no kitchen, and only a few toilets. The building is not actually licensed to hold children, and yet the contractor, MVM Inc., used it to temporarily house migrant children during 3 weeks of Donald Trump's family separation efforts. And joining me now is one of the reporters of that piece, Adra Bogedo, of Reveal from the Center for Investigative Reporting. And Adra, thank you so much for being here. I want to start by letting you very quickly walk us through this story. Apparently a neighbor spotted this building, and what did this person see? Give us that story if you could.
It's great to be here with you, Joy. We broke this story yesterday with Reveal from the Center for Investigative Reporting as part of our continuing coverage of what's happening with families that are separated at the border. And this story did come to us from a tip. There's a neighbor named Liana Dunlap that lives in Phoenix. She's born and raised in Phoenix. And she noticed about a month ago that children were being ushered into this unmarked, unmapped office building right next door to her. And she began asking questions, shooting video, trying to get people's attention to what was happening. And she sent us the tip and she sent us the video. We found it so disturbing here at our offices in Oakland that I got on the next flight the following morning to Phoenix to see what was happening there for myself. I spent time with Liana, I spent time with her neighbors. They all explained the same thing. Over the course of 3 weeks, they saw dozens of children entering this building, which had just been vacant the month before. And it coincides with the exact time that we know that children were being separated from their families. The video that we've seen and the accounts that we've heard from neighbors all tell us that children, including toddlers that weren't young enough, that weren't old enough to walk, were being ushered in there and weren't seen leaving for as long as 3 weeks.
Wow. Okay. Well, I want to read a statement from MVM, which is the contractor that was using this Phoenix office building. When Reveal, and this is what they said, when Reveal asked MVM about the Phoenix office building, the company initially pointed to its earlier statement that it does not operate housing for immigrant children. After learning that neighbors had recorded videos of children entering the building, an MVM spokesperson said the building, quote, is not a shelter or a child care facility. It's a temporary holding place for children being flown out of the Phoenix airport to other locations. Did the neighbor have any sense that this was some place that children were being placed while they were waiting to get on a flight somewhere else? What was her sense of how long those kids were in there at a time?
I looked at the neighbor's cell phone text to her husband on the date of June 4th. And she tells her husband something really weird is going on next door. I think the kids are being trafficked in there. She hadn't heard about the zero tolerance policy, family separation. It wasn't a news item to her at that time. She thought that literally kids were being trafficked in there, and she was really worried about what was happening. She had no idea that it had anything to do with immigration at all whatsoever. Mm-hmm. As news about this became, more and more popular, she connected the two, and that's when she realized, oh, this may have something to do with immigration. But to be clear, what she saw were just groups of huddled children being ushered by adults who seemed to have no connection to the kids, being taken into this building.
Right.
What else went into the building were snacks, fruit snacks and water, and she had no idea what was happening at first at all.
And you can see the children look like they're all dressed alike in sort of bluish sweatshirts. Mm-hmm. Another neighbor, Kristen Brown, per your story, asked a worker reportedly what kind of business the employees were conducting, the business of transportation, she was told. Transporting what, Brown added. Humans, the worker added. One more piece from the Reveal story that you were a part of. The building was leased in March by MVM, which is a Virginia-based defense contractor that has received contracts worth up to $248 million to transport immigrant children since 2014. To your knowledge, is MVM a company that has any experience in child care or child welfare?
No, that's not what they do, and that's not what their contract is for. Their contract specifically is for transporting children. This was confirmed to us by ICE, and as you mentioned, MVM, sort of had one version of what it was doing at the beginning. Once they knew that we had video and had a better idea of what was actually going on, they then said, and I quote, they called it a temporary holding place. Mm-hmm. We can get into the semantics of what's what, the difference between a holding place, a detention center, housing area. We can call it different things. What we know is that children, including these toddlers, I looked through the window myself and I saw a box marked baby shampoo. I saw a booster seat on the floor. I've seen the videos. I've personally talked to the witnesses, the neighbors, and children were there for a while. Whether they could walk out or not, I don't know. ICE told us that it was a waiting area. A waiting area, as I've ever experienced it, is when I'm waiting for a train and it's right in front of me. It's not an in-between place in which I'm being detained before I then board a flight.
Yeah, and we know that the building lease and Reveal confirmed that the lease says the building is not allowed to be used for sleeping or cooking, but just for general office purposes. But we just showed that video, and this was a still photo, I believe, that was taken by you guys, the reporters, that you can see something labeled baby shampoo, and you can see a child booster seat there. We're showing that again. It's pretty disturbing. Adra Bogedo, I hope that you'll come back as you update this story. Thank you very much for your reporting.
Thank you for having me, Joy.
Thank you. And coming up, Trump wants to